Alamak, alamak. Hello?
Hello boy,
Yes?
where you?
I home lah.
Do what here?
Saving lah.
After that
After that, I don't know eh.
go watch movie with me. You ask him also.
Wait. Hey Tim, you watch movie or not?
What movie?
Hey, he asked what movie leh?
Alice in Wonderland.
Alice in the Wonderland. Wait.
Lazy lah. So many homework. Teacher give a lot of homework ah.
Yeah, a lot of homework eh. Tomorrow still got communication speech.
A while only, it's very a while. Refreshing stress.
A bit stress. Wait lah. Eh, why not? A while only.
Expensive lah. No money.
I treat you.
Really or not?
Yeah, I treat you wait, he said okay I think. Wait, I ask again lah. Okay or not?
Okay lah. Set. Go. Okay lah.
Okay
Okay lah,
ready.
sip. See you there. Orchard Road, 2 p.m.
What time? 2 p.m. Okay. See
Okay,
you.
see you.
Bye.
Bye.